Hello everyone and welcome to Chabot News for March 13th, 2025. My name is Lamont Lugin and today we'll be covering a barber killed after a supposed road rage incident and the return of measles in Texas. In sports news, a rescinded ban on trans athletes, and finally in entertainment news, Mikey Madison had an Oscar sweep. All that and more coming up on this edition of Chabot News. A Texas community is in mourning after a beloved barber was killed in an alleged road rage incident, in a road rage shooting. A man is in jail charged with tampering with the evidence, but no one has been charged with the murder. To honor the victim, hundreds have gathered outside the barbershop of Octavian Estrada, known to many as Tave, for a vigil over the weekend. Among those turning out, a single mom who said he gave her kids free haircuts. Megan Reina has more.
He was more than just the neighborhood barber.
It wasn't a job for him. It was more fun for him to just open up and just be there for each and every person.
To many, Octavian Estrada was a mentor, someone to look up to, and someone who always gave back.
He was a person who, if a loved one passed away, he would go and cut their hair.
He would go to the morgue and go and do that. You know, he did it all. Never said no.
His niece and nephew in shock on Friday when they heard he had been gunned down while driving to San Antonio from Floresville.
On my way from San Antonio, and I passed by it on 181, and then we were trying to figure out, hey, he ain't answering his phone.
Bexar County investigators say it was a shooting that stemmed from road rage when Estrada pulled into this Valero parking lot off Highway 181 South. According to this arrest warrant, he was shot in the chest after approaching a truck. With the help of a surveillance video and witnesses, investigators caught up to this man. 34-year-old Sean Anthony Samaniego. Samaniego is accused of tampering with evidence. He told investigators his friend he calls Money fired the shots. He claims he just drove away and got rid of the trailer attached to his truck.
He was young, healthy. Never in our minds would we ever thought the situation would happen to our family.
Many customers, from children to adults, heartbroken over what happened.
You're ready to get a there. You sometimes even give me free haircuts.
But Sunday's vigil wasn't about the tragedy, but about celebrating who the 39-year-old son, husband, uncle, and friend was.
He's impacted so many generations.
It's remarkable.
Bexar County investigators say it was a shooting that stemmed from road rage. When Estrada pulled into a Valero parking lot off Highway 181 South, according to this arrest warrant, he was shot in the chest after approaching a truck. With the help of surveillance video and the witnesses, investigators caught up to this man. 34-year-old Sean Anthony Samingo Tave, survived by his wife and several siblings. The number of measles identified in outbreaks in West Texas and a nearby county in New Mexico has jumped to nearly 230. According to the health officials in those states, the U.S. Centers for Disease and Control Prevention says measles cases have now been reported in at least 12 states. The majority are in western Texas and New Mexico. Gene Sullivan reports on the growing concerns from health officials.
Measles cases have now been reported in at least a dozen states. As of Friday, more than 200 have been reported this year, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In the West Texas outbreak, which accounts for the vast majority of cases, 39 have been reported in just 3 days.
The only way to stop an outbreak of measles is to prevent infections.
To prevent infections, health officials say more people need to get the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. Typically, the first dose is given to children ages 12 to 15 months and is 93% effective. The second dose, given to kids between 4 and 6 years old, is about 97% effective, according to the CDC.
The MMR vaccine is one of the most effective vaccines we have against viral illness.
Dr. Wilson says the amount of misinformation surrounding vaccines has led to fewer people getting vaccinated, and that's how an outbreak starts. So far, 2 people have died, likely as a result from the measles, a school-age child in Texas and an adult in New Mexico. Both were unvaccinated.
We should be very alarmed. We haven't seen a death of a child from measles in over a decade in this country.
Measles is highly contagious. The disease causes a rash of red spots, fever, cough, and red watery eyes. It can cause serious illness and even death, especially in young children.
It is the most infectious human virus, more infectious than COVID, more infectious than HIV.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Thanks, Gene. Measles cases have been reported in at least a dozen states as of Friday. More than 200 have been reported this year, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In the West Texas outbreak, which accounts for a vast majority of cases, 39 of those cases reported in just 3 days. Measles has been a concerning topic for some time now. This prompted one of our reporters, Jasmine Bester, to go out and ask the campus student body their thoughts on the measles cases. Take it from here.
My thoughts on the measles outbreak is that I think it's kind of scary to think about, and hopefully that there's some more vaccines for it, or maybe some solution to it.
I'm hoping that it doesn't come nowhere near close to us and our children.
I haven't really been keeping too much with the news, but it does seem pretty scary, even though I haven't kept up with it too much, so there is some fear.
My thoughts on the measles outbreak, I think it's kind of scary.
Kind of disappointing that there's a measles outbreak. We had measles eradicated in 2000, but since there's been a large influx or amount of anti-vaxxers, once that vaccine rate drops below 95%, then it's possible for measles to come back. And it's unfortunate that children have to suffer because people don't trust vaccines.
The measles outbreak, man, it's a very scary thought to know that, this could have an effect on us in an unhealthy way, and it's very scary. I really don't know. I hope that we can get a hold of this stuff.
Thanks, Jasmine. And now to Adrian with entertainment news.
Mardi Gras celebration with colorful floats, music, and crowds. Tuesday, March 4th may have some setbacks due to possible storm. Some adjustments were made to Mardi Gras celebration in New Orleans Tuesday morning due to severe weather. Southern eastern Louisiana is under high wind watch. In addition to damaging winds, New Orleans is at risk of hail and tornadoes. The Rex and Zulu crews moved up their parade start times and shortened their routes. Marching bands and floats were banned. We hope that New Orleans made the best of what they had during their celebration. Mikey Madison has won her first ever Oscar in her lead role in Sean Baker's Honora. This was also Madison's first nomination. There was many people happy for her accomplishment. Madison plays the title role in the film about a Brooklyn sex worker named Honora who meets and falls for Ivan, the spoiled son of Russian oligarch. When the pair gets married on a whim and a hectic chain of events ensues as Ivan defects in fear of his distant yet controlling parents. We take a look here, the moment she won her first ever Oscar. This night marked a milestone in her career, and her outstanding performance will be recognized. We sent our reporter, Christian Gonzalez, out onto campus to ask students about their thoughts about the Oscars.
I forgot who won, but I just feel like it wasn't Yeah, I just feel like it was rigged.
I personally don't really watch the Oscars.
I feel like there's a lot of people who are deserving and a lot of people who are not.
Thanks, Christian. It seems that there isn't very much interest about the Oscars. That's all for entertainment news this week. I'm Adrian Santoyo, and now back to you, Lamond.
Thanks, Adrian. An environmental group targeted by the Justice Department over a federal grant is suing a bank and the Trump administration for access to its money. Nonprofit Climate United Fund says the money is still locked down. The group sued the administration to unfreeze a $7 billion federal grant awarded by the Biden administration using money Congress appropriated. It will fund clean energy and solar projects around the nation. The lawsuit alleges that the Justice Department leaders are targeting the environment group and the others receiving similar funding. The Trump-appointed Environmental Protection Agency accuses the group of criminal activity. Citibank said in a statement it is cooperating with the federal government and will comply with any court decision. Police across the U.S. are investigating a series of attacks on Tesla showrooms, charging stations, and Tesla vehicles. Elon Musk, owner of Tesla, has become a lightning rod in the Trump administration for his role with the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. Musk has been involved with the slashing of thousands of federal jobs over the past few weeks, and some people have responded, with many peaceful protests have taken at multiple Tesla locations. There are also widespread reports of vandalism, although no one has been hurt. The backlash against Musk is also hurting Tesla's bottom line. Tesla recently reported its first drop in annual sales in its history. The company's U.S. sales dropped 16% between December and January, according to the Cox Automotive estimate. Calling all drivers. The professional driver is back with another driver hack. And this time we are practicing on how to parallel park on the right side. With this 3-part series, we check in with our reporter, Alan Sampson, as he went around town to ask some people about how they parallel park on the right side.
Hello, drivers. Do you find it difficult to parallel park? Well, here is 1 out of 3 ways to parallel park on the right side. But before we get into this driver hack, we asked some people about their methods on how they parallel park.
I have never parallel parked. I feel like if I did, I'd definitely crash the car into both cars at the same time.
That's a very, very hard question, and the easiest answer I can give you to how I successfully parallel park is close my eyes and hope for the best.
I parallel park? Sometimes I'll get my dog. I'll have him come out. I'll tell him. I'll listen to him, and I'll have him bark at me. Like, bark, bark.
Pretty interesting answers there. Let's get into our driver hack now. When parallel parking on the right side, one way is to drive forward until you're aligned with the vehicle in front. Turn your steering wheel to the left. Reverse until you see the front end of the vehicle in the rear on your side mirror. Turn right. Reverse until your vehicle's front side left corner aligns with the front side right corner of the parking space. Turn left and reverse until you are in your parking space. The car goes right in. This is one way to parallel park on the right side.
I'm gonna try that next time. Make sure I don't hit both cars.
That's extremely helpful. I'm gonna open my eyes and hope for the best.
We'll see. Yeah, I'll see. I'll try to look for it.
Remember to drive safely and please be courteous. I am Alan Sampson reporting for Chabot TV.
Awesome driver hack, Alan. Can't wait to see the other 2 ways to parallel park on the right side. I definitely need to share these driving hacks with my friends and family. There we go. On February 28th, WTXL reporter Alberto Camargo went to Charlie Kirk's America's Comeback Tour, which brought thousands of Florida State landees Green Friday. Hundreds of protesters and counter-protesters created a tense atmosphere at the event. Watch now to hear students on both sides describe the climate at the event.
As Charlie Kirk debated students on Landis Green, hundreds more stood in protest nearby. You spread hate, you spread lies, we see Nazis in disguise. Kirk founded Turning Point USA, a conservative nonprofit that has a student chapter at FSU. Other students protested his appearance due to what they call hateful political views and rhetoric. Protester Justin Jordan says the tension was high throughout the afternoon, but it fueled him.
Seeing that dynamic really kind of, even though it should have scared me, it inspired me to continue doing what I was doing, to continue chanting, to continue supporting marginalized people.
Jordan says he supports free speech, but thinks opinions like Kirk's cross into hate speech and should not be welcome on campus.
I think this was more to show FSU that this is not acceptable and that there's a student response to Charlie Kirk being hosted on campus.
Florida State maintains that it was not supporting the event. In a statement, FSU says, quote, "The Charlie Kirk event is being coordinated by the student organization Turning Point, not the university. No university funding or fees were used to bring the speaker to campus. The university welcomes the exchange of views as part of the educational process, but does not endorse specific speakers or viewpoints."
It's very important as a future of America to have events like this.
Conservative student Isaiah Eldridge says he was happy to see free speech exercised on campus, but he also felt like he was being targeted with hate speech from the protesting group.
But the moment you put someone else's name on a sign and call them a Nazi or call them stuff that, was frowned upon since it's been a word, I think that you cross the line there.
Thank you, Alberto, for bringing us that balanced report during a very tense period at Florida State University's campus. Now to Enrique Peña Ponce with sports.
On Monday, Senate Democrats blocked a Republican-led bill to ban transgender athletes from women's sports at federally funded schools and educational institutions. This was a procedural vote to advance the bill. 60 votes were needed to move the legislation forward, and it fell 9 votes shy. The House passed its own version of the bill in January, but without the Senate approval, the legislation is stalled. We sent out reporter Greg Driscoll out to campus to find out what the students thought about trans women in women's sports.
It seems fair because, men and women do play sports with each other, even those separable ways and separable situations. But also, you also think about more detail when it comes to men and women playing with each other when it comes to sports. But also, a lot of people complain about transgenders have the edge of this and that. But also, a lot of with players like women athletes, men athletes, they do have the advantages of their skill sets.
What people aren't taking into account, the absolute hurdles that trans people need to go to be able to even compete in women's sports, because they have to be changed. Well, one, their biological gender needs to be legally changed. Two, they have to be at least 4 years on hormones, which if we're talking about trans women in women's sports specifically, you have to be at least, from what I can remember, 4 to 6 years on estrogen, and it's the exact opposite of testosterone. So instead of giving you more muscle mass, it decreases it, so you have to train twice as hard. And so when you do train on estrogen and you are actively on estrogen and taking hormones, your body fat distributes differently, your muscle mass decreases, so you have to train twice as hard. And it's they fought so hard to even be in these sports. Like, let them have this one thing.
To be honest, I'm kind of just like in that, me personally, I don't really mind it, to be honest, because kind of just like earlier what Rain said, I agree that trans women should at least be 4 to 5 years on hormones before actually getting to compete, and basically with the science with it on estrogen, obviously it's the opposite of testosterone, and we're not improving, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Greg. Let's see how the journey goes for these athletes at every level. The 2026 World Cup will be historic regardless of which teams make it. For the first time since its debut in 1930, the legendary event will have a halftime show. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said British band Coldplay is among those who will help produce the performance. No word yet on if Coldplay, who previously performed at a Super Bowl halftime show, will take the stage. The United States, Canada, and Mexico are co-hosting next year's tournament. The final, scheduled for July 19th, will take place at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium. That's it for sports news this week.
I'm Enrique Peña Ponce. Now back to you, Lamond.
Thank you, Enrique. People in the Wichita, Kansas area spent the last Wednesday cleaning up after powerful winds tore through the area during the overnight. One owner woke up to find a towering oak tree that once stood outside his house had toppled over and crushed his cars. Thankfully, no one was injured. No one in the home was injured. Kate Devin has more.
Well, at 3:30 this morning, we heard a big, loud noise. Of course, we knew it was going to be windy.
When Bill Robinson went to bed Monday night, he knew it would be windy, but he never expected what came next. Hours later, he woke up to police at his door.
He said, well, you have a tree down in front. Oh, yeah? So, yeah, you won't be able to get out your front door.
A massive oak tree, 2 stories tall, had snapped and crashed into his cars and roof.
Of course, this were my cars. Yeah, it's a huge tree. Huge tree.
It was an oak tree?
Oak, yeah.
Meteorologists say wind gusts between 50 and 70 miles per hour swept across Kansas overnight and into Wednesday morning, strong enough to bring down trees and power lines. KAKE's chief meteorologist Jay Prater says a lot of factors go into trees falling.
When it comes to trees getting blown over, there's a lot at play here. Have we had a lot of rain? Is the ground soft? Because soft ground, the roots are going to be more likely to get pulled up. Plus the tree canopy. If it's a very large tree canopy, well, there's more surface area for the wind to grab, to pull over.
That's why experts like Vanessa Pierce with the National Weather Service say preparation is key, not just for windstorms, but for severe weather in general.
Well, if you don't have a basement obviously is a great place to go, but you want to go to the lowest floor possible.
And if a tornado warning is issued while you're sleeping, Jay Prater says a weather radio, even though it's old school, could save your life.
I can't wake you up in the middle of the night and tell you a tornado's coming, but a weather radio can.
And as Robinson looks at what's left of his tree, he can't help but think about its former residents.
Poor squirrels don't have a house now.
Now he's left figuring out cleanup, insurance, and transportation. But luckily, cleanup has already started.
Called the insurance company this morning, and we'll have to figure out how to get transportation.
Thanks, Kate. The area is expected to get a few more windy days this week. Forecasters say the worst is likely over. American asset management giant BlackRock has agreed to buy 2 ports at either end of the Panama Canal from a Hong Kong-based firm. KT Hutchins' ownership had angered President Donald Trump. Trump said several times during the lead-up to his inauguration and since taking office, he intends to take back the Panama Canal from Panama. He cited Chinese ownership of some port operations as a sign that China is now running it through Panama, actually operates the canal. Though Panama actually operates the canal. It was built by the U.S. in the early years of the 20th century and completed in 1914. For most of that century, it was operated by the U.S. before the Carter administration negotiated its handover to Panama, which went into effect in 1919. The deal announced Tuesday calls for BlackRock and a consortium of fellow investors who spend nearly $23 billion to buy ports of Balboa and Cristobal on either end of the canal. The deal is in an agreement. The deal is in an agreement in principle. This week's food news package, I went out to Crave Subs in Hayward to take a look at their sandwiches. Here's what I thought about them.
What is up, everybody? My name's Lamont Lujan, and today, for food, we're going over to Crave Subs, even though we can't get a good look here from here. The spot's located in Hayward. They got delicious and they got nerd stuff. Let's get to it.
Crave Subs is a halal sandwich spot with 2 locations, one in Berkeley, another one right here in Hayward, California on Eden Landing Road. Crave Subs prides themselves on being a halal restaurant with the mission to redefine what it truly means to enjoying a sandwich. In their site that says, we're not just serving subs, we're creating an experience, laying fresh, vibrant veggies over oven-baked breads with premium halal meats. One thing I love about Crave Subs is how they sell comic books at the front of the store, giving the restaurant a very relaxed and comforting vibe. Another thing I love is how they name their sandwiches after pop culture and comic book characters, such as Chewbacca, Deadpool, Punisher, Pikachu, Peter Griffin, Beast Boy, and many others.
Hey, it smells delicious, man. Let's go eat. I got it. Let's try it and rate it 1 through 10. So right here, I got the Pikachu sub. Let's look at that cross section, everybody. I know. Look at the cross section, everybody. This is quality eats right here. Quality eats. Let's take a bite. See what it's about. This goes stupid. This goes dumb. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Thanks, me. Those sandwiches were indeed very delicious, and I can't wait to grab one again. Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is directing the Food and Drug Administration to eliminate a food safety loophole. A rule called, generally recognized as SAFE or GRAS, allows manufacturers to add certain food additives without approval if they meet specific criteria that experts have deemed safe for food for consumption. GRAS stated in the late 1990s, when the agency couldn't keep up with the flood of requests to approve new additives, it was intended to be applied in narrowly common ingredients such as sugar, vinegar, and baking soda. But critics say it's easy for manufacturers to add ingredients to products without any heads up to regulators. Kennedy says eliminating this loophole will get the nation's food supply back on track. There have been many cuts to the FDA. We sent one of our own, Greg Driscoll, to ask students what they think about it.
Honestly, the FDA didn't do their job anyway. They didn't really keep us safe. They had a lot of things in it, in the food that didn't belong, a lot of ingredients that they didn't care for, so that I didn't care for, right? Like I do a lot of research on food. I'm vegan, so I have to watch everything. So I don't know how I feel. I can't really do anything about it.
So I guess how I would feel would, I guess that's the best way to say it, I guess negative. If people are getting fired that are approving our food, that's not too good, because that means there's like less and less people that are working that are making sure that the things we eat or consume are being like properly, properly, like I guess checked over to make sure that they're like actually good to eat and not like they're gonna kill you.
Pretty bad, actually. Like, I feel like the schools should be allowed to have more control, and like prior programs introduced by people like Michelle Obama did a lot to help the diets of children and also provide stable food for people. Well, now food's going to get more expensive and less healthy for those who desperately need it.
I think that what they're doing is pretty good, actually, because here in the Bay Area, a lot of stuff are expensive, so there's a lot of homeless. So I hope that they're using my taxes to help people, like with those kind of trouble, like maybe like I don't know, like some type of volunteering, or to pay like apartments for the homeless and help them.
Thanks, Greg. Students have mixed feelings, some questioning the FDA's effectiveness, while others worry cuts could further impact on food safety, especially for vulnerable communities. Take a look at what a Pennsylvania man tried to get past security at a Newark airport Friday. That's a turtle, or more specifically, a red-eared soldier, a red-eared slider, according to its owner. Agents were alerted when he set off an alarm while passing through a TSA body scanner. A pat-down revealed he had wrapped the turtle in a blue towel and stuffed it down the front of his pants. He was escorted away by police, and his turtle was confiscated. Police said they would contact Fish and Wildlife officials. Red-eared sliders are commonly sold as pets. Now to Top 5 with Cole Wagner.
Thanks, Lamont. This week I'll be giving you my top 5 cats that I've met in person. Disclaimer, I think all cats are S tier, so that's why I had to narrow this list down to only cats that I know personally. In a perfect world, they'd all be number 1. Kicking off this list is my most recent feline acquaintance, Dusty. Dusty enjoys sleeping in the middle of the day and begging for food at 4 in the morning. Her favorite pastimes are munching on plastic and tearing down posters. She's easily recognizable by her adorable, chirpy meow and her insanely long tail that curls up like a question mark. Keeping things in the proverbial family, number 4 on my list is Dusty's adopted older brother, Scooter. Scooter is an inspiration and a paragon of perseverance. Sharp-eyed viewers will notice that old Scooty boy is missing one of his back legs. No one knows how he lost it, but we speculate that it involves saving multiple children from either a fire or a large bear. Whenever he's not risking life and limb, he enjoys napping in the sunlight and sniffing Christmas trees. Who knows what secrets lurk within the hearts of cat lovers? Shadow knows. My grandparents' cat Shadow ranks number 3 on this list of lovable little guys. Shadow is perhaps the friendliest cat I've had the pleasure of meeting. He really likes to be up close and personal, often doing his best to get nose to nose with any acquaintance, new or old. Shadow is still less than a year old, so his manners are a little lacking, but he makes up for it in undeniable cuteness, and you'll know he really likes you if he sits on your head. Fee, fi, fo, fum, here comes my number 2 pick. It's Hacky Sack. Otherwise known as Hacky, this rotund orange fellow has been a longtime friend of mine for nigh on 12 years. Hacky is the embodiment of chill. He loves to eat, sleep, and be merry. He's also a huge cuddle bug, and he'll usually take the opportunity to sit on someone's lap. Be careful though, once he lays down, you might not be able to get back up. This big boy's density has been compared by scientists to that of a small neutron star. She's sassy, she's beautiful, she's hungry for human flesh, she's my number 1 pick. It's my own lovely little critter, Souffle. I adopted Souffle about 2 years ago when she was just a tiny gremlin, no bigger than a Pop-Tart. She was found without a mom and spent the early part of her life living alone with me, so I kind of became her mommy and her favorite person. She always wants to be by my side whenever possible, and she'll take a swipe at anyone who tries to get in between us. I'm consistently charmed by her sweet and sour personality and her signature Michael Jordan mustache. Even when she chews on my fingers in the middle of the night, I can't help but love her with all my heart. My name's Cole Wagner, and this has been my top 5 favorite cats that I know in real life.
Thanks, Cole. In helping out Hayward's community, the Hayward Youth Commission is now accepting applications. The commission allows young people to represent interests and concerns of youth in Hayward, providing input to city officials, the Hayward Area Recreation and Park District, and the Hayward Unified School Districts on issues affecting their peers. Members are excited to attend monthly meetings at Hayward City Hall from September through June and participate in special projects addressing youth-related topics. To qualify, applicants must be between the ages of 13 and 20 and reside in Hayward or within Hayward Unified School District boundaries. The deadline to apply is Friday, May 9th, 2025, with interviews scheduled for Friday, May 30th. This is a great opportunity to make a change in our community. For students interested, you may visit the city's website or call 510-583-4400 for more information. The National Institutes of Health is losing a long-serving renowned geneticist. Dr. Francis Collins has retired. He served as the head of the agency under Presidents Obama, Trump, and Biden. Prior to that, he worked on an NIH-supported grant that led to the identification of the gene for cystic fibrosis. In 1993, he joined the agency to lead the Human Genome Project. That group mapped out 3 billion letters of the human DNA. Collins stepped down as the head of the NIH in December of 2021, but stayed on to oversee a lab investigating type 2 diabetes. Also, that year, he publicly said the Trump administration pressured him to endorse unproven COVID-19 remedies. He said it also pressured him to fire Dr. Anthony Fauci. Collins did not make a similar statement in his retirement announcement. He did not give a reason for leaving the agency. That's all for Chabot News this week. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/ChabotTV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 on Comcast for more Chabot TV.